This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
So let's talk about just where you are overall on the programming at the time. On our build here again, even though it is a hot angle, we don't really have the physicality that we might normally because you and Austin are bumped up. So we're doing a lot of comedy, as we've touched on with Steve, yourself, Vince, and Deborah. In hindsight, do you think that this, and Lord, I enjoyed both versions, but we've seen two versions of Kurt Angle, really, right? We've seen the wrestling machine, the badass killer. I'm going to fucking do what I want. I'm going to impose my will on you and you can't stop it. And then we've also seen, for lack of a better word, the geeky, corny Kurt Angle. And I realized that that's you playing a character. Both are you playing a character, very humble, nice man in real life, But did you think that was going to hurt your quote unquote drawing ability, or do some of the old timers, some of the veterans in the locker room come over and say, hey, I know you hadn't been here for very long, but maybe that's not a good idea. Does somebody put a bug in your ear or make you second guess being silly and cheesy?
Well, at the time that's what Vince wanted me to do. He wanted me to be funny and goofy and nerdy. And his explanation was, listen, he even did a pre-tape with Austin where Austin came in and said, Vince, listen, we need to get rid of Angle. He's a dork. And Vince said, yes, but he's a dangerous dork. So that's what Vince was trying to build, was this dangerous dork that fans took seriously in the ring, but didn't take quite seriously outside the ring. And that's the character that Vince wanted to produce for me. Obviously, in the future, a couple years later, Vince decided he didn't want that anymore. He wanted the wrestling machine Kurt Angle. So I was just doing what Vince McMahon wanted me to do. And I enjoy playing both characters.
Right. And of course, Eddie Guerrero and Benoit make their way over before WCW goes down, but Booker T is probably the guy who stands heads and shoulders above everybody else who came over. And you're kind of you're in a weird spot here. You're a de facto babyface because even though you've really tried to be a heel, you're a loyal WWF soldier against these evil invaders. And being a babyface isn't something we had seen a lot of from you at this point in the WWF. Were you comfortable with that role change and how that dynamic changes? Because I imagine it's not just, your quote unquote swagger and the way you approach the fans. It's your promos, it's your wrestling style, it's your opponent list. It's everything, right?
Yeah, it was a little weird, because it turned me baby immediately because of the invasion, WCW coming in. And I didn't really know how to act or what to do, but I just did my own thing and continued to be the Kurt Angle that I was, the same character. There was no other choice for me. I mean, I knew that I would have an opportunity to have a good run as a babyface in the future. I just didn't know it was starting now.
Let's keep it going here and talk about the match itself. Well, wait, before we do, I want to mention the go home edition of Raw as we head into this Invasion pay-per-view. You're in the ring. Steve Austin is going to be the last guy out for a big brawl. And when his music hits, it's one of the biggest pops anybody's ever heard. Do you remember that day? I mean, are there big pops that really resonate with you all these years later when you think about the big reactions and the adrenaline and the rush that must be for you? Is that on the list?
Oh yeah. That Austin that night, that was the loudest pop I've ever heard. And rightfully so. I mean, Austin's the biggest babyface in the history of the company. I mean, he's drawn more money than any other wrestler in history. He is the man. And that night he proved it. That was the loudest pop. It was so obnoxious. It was the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's something to go out of your way to see if you want to see a monster pop. And now let's talk about the match itself. It's Team ECW/WCW. Of course, they're the Alliance versus Team WWF. And Kurt, the pop you get for your entrance here on the Invasion show has to be one of the biggest of your career at this point, right? It's your first big babyface pop.
Definitely, without a doubt. I was pleasantly surprised about it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, fans really had lived to boo you, and now, man, they're on their feet in a big way. But
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.